Hello everyone! Here is a quick little intro to another episode of Creative Sanctuary with Tam and Jen, or Jen and Tam. I've got a bit of a cold. I've got a weird nose. Okay, do I have to sneeze? No. So, I wanted to just put a quick little hello in front of our chat and session today to explain a little bit about what it is about, and potentially put a bit of a warning in here for some of you who might find that helpful. So today's session is all about shadow work and looking at sort of, I suppose, the parts of ourselves that we have disowned. And this can be a little bit of a sometimes heavy topic for some people. So I wanted to say, if you're thinking of taking part, please make sure that you look after yourself, that you look after your mental health. And if you want to work with an issue, that you first work with an issue that has a low emotional charge, or don't work on an issue at all, just so you could just watch first and maybe make some art without really working on anything. So just so you can get a feel for what it's all about. And remember that this is a session where we are not really demonstrating how to do this. We're just in conversation, myself and Jen, and talking about things related to this topic. But I want to basically make sure to say, please look after yourself, as this kind of topic can be a little bit heavy for people. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are discussing the following topics that might be triggering for people. They are eating disorders, body image issues, and I think those are the two main ones that might feel unsettling for some people. So just be aware that we are discussing these topics, and skip if you worry that might be hard for you to listen to. So those are my quick little comments that I wanted to make. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe and click that little bell should you want to be notified of any other videos that we're uploading. Myself and Jennifer are really enjoying these sessions, so we continue to plan to do them every month or so. And thank you very much for interacting with this video. It helps us both very much, and I'm very grateful for all the comments that were left on the previous video as well. Okay, enjoy this session, everyone. And if you do make your own doll, like Jennifer is making a doll and I'm making an empathy monster, if you do make one, I would love to see your creation in my Facebook group called Willowing and Friends on Facebook. The links and all the information is below. And lastly, I also wanted to say, if you, by the way, do struggle with eating disorders, I have put some phone numbers in the description below these are numbers for the United States and the UK, that you can ring if you struggle with eating disorders and you need help. If you are not in either one of those countries, please, you can go to Google and search for eating disorder help in your country, and then you should find usually some free numbers that you can call, and these people will help you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy this session, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Welcome to us.
Welcome to Tam and Jen. Creative Sanctuary. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start in a good way by lighting a candle.
Nice.
And sanctuaryize it.
That's nice. Yes.
And I'll light a candle to you and me.
Nice.
And our healing, our journey. And actually, I brought a little smudge.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever smudged. Have you?
Is that sage? Is that smudging?
This one is, I'm not sure what this one is. I don't think it's sage. It was given to me by a woman.
Okay. I don't know what smudging is then. I thought it had something to do with sage. So the answer is no.
Yeah, that's saging is smudging too.
Which means clearing the energy, yes? In the room with smoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making it, clearing the energy, purifying, signaling that we're going into sacred space.
Nice.
I'll smudge you there.
Oh, thank you.
I
I feel
was taught to smudge my supplies too. So I always do that.
Yeah.
Then I just let it burn.
Does it smell nice?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, nice.
It smells so like the beginning of my women's circles. We always smudge. So every time I smudge, I think of that sacred place and space. Okay. I have an idea for us today based on my favorite book of all time, of course.
That's the
Circle
of Stones. Yeah.
Circle of Stones. And I read this the other day and I thought, oh my goodness, I want to do some kind of art project based on this reading. So I'm going to indulge us and read the whole thing. It's 3 pages.
Oh, okay. All right, get ready, everyone.
Get ready. Sink into this.
Okay.
Okay. Embracing her woundedness. Once in a group of women gathered monthly to spend a day together stood a hag. She was short and ugly, fashioned from a length of log, stood on end, given a frayed hemp rope for hair, acorns and seeds for face, torn up burlap for a cloak, and finished in her loathsomeness with a tail. She was recognized at once by the women as the embodiment of shame, horror, fear, all which is anguished, not allowed, and cast out. She carried the pain that hurts too intensely to be borne. Instead, we deny it and rise above it and remain smilingly all right in our own eyes. We seek a life of distraction or service to others, choosing to see the anguish in them rather than in ourselves. And the paradox, even if those we serve truly need help, is that if we are not open to our own anguish, to our orphaned child within, we harden ourselves and become busy, cheery dispensers of aid. Ugh. We become unable to truly nurture or be present to either woundedness or healing. For only by being present to woundedness within us can we be present to the woundedness in others. Their anguish and wounds must be related to and embraced, experienced in all its pathos. The woundedness in each of us needs to be fully owned for it to be given comfort. It was late in the day. Each woman had named her issues, speaking into the silence, how she viewed her life, her place in it, her responsibility to herself. The small creature stood at the center of the circle, a quality of being about her that would not be denied. Shamed, judged, or not, she was present to herself. And as the shadows cast by winter sun lengthened and the room went into darkness, one woman picked up that small hag and rocked it in her arms. In the hush that followed, several women wept. It was what was to be, simple and natural. It was as if a howl, a cry from inner and outer darkness had been heard. The wild terror of pain and torment that we all desperately wish not to own had finally been embraced. At last there was a place for it to be cradled, comforted, a place for it to come home and rest. And the woman asked, how do we help ourselves and each other to own our terror, to own our own shame, to own our abandonment? How do we give it a place to come home so it can cease its endless wandering? How can we listen for that small, still voice that says, the orphan child within each of us is howling. No more violence. Let us be here in our pain. Let us be present to it. Let us acknowledge it, cradle it, comfort it, give it a place to come home and rest. The creature in us needs comfort, nurturing, holding, and deprived of the soft holding, it withers and dies. Years ago, In well-known laboratory experiments, baby monkeys languished when fed mechanically from a twisted cold wire figure, but they prospered when they were comforted by a softly pillowed form. Only a woman can return to this deeper feminine consciousness containing that holding. Acknowledging her center, her needs, she allows ancient awareness, uniquely feminine energy to reemerge and give it all her softness. Come home and rest. Oh,
Wow.
oh,
So much in that.
that one really gets me. That really gets me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point you were sort of tearing up.
Oh,
Almost
wow.
like sobbing. So tell me about what this means to you, this passage.
Wow.
How does it speak to you?
Just to bring it right into the here and now today, I have just been so, and I hate that I've done this, but I have been so hard on myself lately about my body.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting closer to 60 now. I'm midway, but my body is changing. I'm not like I used to be very, I don't know, active and fit and exercised as a priority and all that for so long. And I'm just not anymore. And my body is softer and it's curvier and it's heavier. And I think yesterday I reached this peak of pain with it where the inner critic within me just harassed me all day. I felt frumpy. I felt like what I was wearing was just, it was even polyester. It was just like went through the whole day.
Yeah.
And I went to bed feeling like I don't want to keep doing this.
Mm.
So I think that reading right now today for me, I mean, I could go deeper than that, but that's what's really present for me is I don't want to hate myself in my, I don't want to have this level of self-hate that's about something as shallow as the shape of my body.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at with it today. I want to embrace the critic that says all that because that part of me is hurting. Like I want to embrace that as the hag and like give it some love instead of trying to shoo it away or get it to be quiet or God forbid argue with it. It will always win. I can't I'll never win that argument.
Yeah. But we all, okay.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at with it? What happened for you?
Well, I found this a really interesting because for people that are watching, you mentioned before, I want to read this thing, and then you kind of mentioned only snippets of it, but there's so much for me in it. Like for me, the thing that resonated so much was about you, which is similar to what we've discussed before, but that if you don't look the wound in the face, whatever it may be, it's a problem. Like it's really important to keep moving towards the dark as well. So this to me is shadow work, right? Like
absolutely.
So and I think I mentioned to you that I like working with shadow, even though not like because it's painful, but I always see it as every kind of ugly or difficult or painful or dark emotion tends to have a really tender, sweet, sad creature underneath it. And that's what I love, because whenever I do shadow work with people, I used to do it on Lifebook, and I do a whole meditation on it as well, where I guide people into a dark forest, but we bring a guardian with us so that it's not too scary to face the scary emotions, such as jealousy or self-hatred or these sorts of things. What you find is that that underneath it is just this really sad, usually like, did it say feral child or something? The reading something like feral child. That inside is just usually a really vulnerable, small,
the orphan child within.
Yeah, the orphan child creature that just needs so much love. So I like to kind of almost demystify this kind of work because because it sounds so scary, and it can be painful. For instance, the body stuff. I mean, you're saying that you're only dealing with it now. I've dealt with body issues since I was 8 years old. So, I mean, as many people have, like.
I don't think it just started recently, but it's
but
really gotten louder.
Yeah, I get it. But body stuff. I don't know a woman who hasn't dealt with body issues and eating issues. Also, there's very few people that haven't dealt with that because of our world. It's just so I relate to that too. But for me, the message in this is so beautiful about trying to move towards the woundedness. And it reminded me of a cartoon that I have shared as well on the Lifebook thing, and I hope I can find it and put it on the screen. There was once a cartoon that was so beautiful. It represents exactly this, where you see this little girl and there's a monster like over there, and she's just like this. She's like scared of it. She's just like not looking at it. And then the monster is sort of, it's very intimidating. And then the monster sort of, she's trying to look at it a little bit. And eventually what she does is she turns towards it. And the more she turns towards it, the monster turns into a smaller being and a bit of light, and then it turns into a tiny child, and she starts to hold the monster. It's exactly like it. So it's so beautiful, and I was in tears just looking at this. It's a kind of a beautiful comic strip. So that's what this, how it touched me and what it reminded me of, because it can be difficult, very painful and difficult to look at your own self-judgment, jealousy, whatever the dark shadow work, emotion.
It is like even me admitting that's what came up for me is this body stuff felt embarrassing, and I know enough about my own healing now to know that if I feel cringy and embarrassed, I'm about to be set free.
Yes.
Like I actually feel better right now, having just said, I'm struggling with my body, and I didn't ever want to be that woman that struggled with her body. I wanted to be.
You wanted to be free.
I just embrace myself at every stage, and I want to, but I've got to face this part of me that is so loud to be able to do that.
But and I, it's really funny you mentioned this, because I have recently become, with the body stuff, much more softer towards the part that goes, I wish I had a different body. Not because, and because I can see what you're saying about, I wish I was that person that's really accepting of whatever the difference is in my body. But guess what? Unfortunately, and this is on the world, but the world, we're all made up, we're all the world. The world starts to judge you really strongly, even if it's not consciously, even if it's not like, I find that since I've sort of turned 45, I'm nearly 50, you said nearly 60, I'm nearly 50, that I have become invisible. Like I go to the shops and no one is even looking at me, not in a sort of sexual, romantic way. I just I feel like I don't exist. And so for me to go, I wish I had a different body, is a very normal reaction to no one seeing me anymore. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, I would love to be zen about it and really developed and be able to go, well, I don't need anyone, but we do. So it's a kind of like, I feel like having body issues, as much as, of course, I work on wanting to be fully accepting of who I am and how I am, I also want to be loving and compassionate towards the part of me that goes, yeah, but I would like to be accepted and seen by other people as well, and they're not giving me the attention. I don't mean, sexual attention.
I know what you mean.
Generally being seen as a respectable, worthy mattering. It's about mattering. Do I still matter? And women in particular get such strong messages from society that over maybe 40, you're just like not worthy anymore of anything. So it's really understandable that you would have these feelings. And and what are we going to do? Just accept that, be kind towards those feelings rather than dismissive of you're such a shit person that you think you don't like your body, whatever. Why can't you be an enlightened being that can accept it fully?
All the time.
Yeah.
And so it reminds me of like my own journey with my body. I used to have quite significant problems with bulimia. And when I was pregnant, with my daughter in particular, I was very bulimic, which of course I hid from everybody. I was running like a fiend. I was exercising all the time, and I got so many compliments.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it?
And I knew internally how messed I was on the inside. I knew I hadn't even started the big healing journey. I hadn't, but it really did strike me that that was the time that I got the most positive feedback about who I was at
Same.
my most unhealthy.
Same for me. Yeah, same for me. I was anorexic. So funny. Like, I just love how every woman is like, and then I do this with food.
Yeah.
We love, because it's just, to me, it's like it's so common. But I had a long. This is actually induced by my rheumatism, so I won't go into the main long story. But I started changing my diet because with rheumatism, they kept saying, and this was before the internet and before AI and stuff like that, where you can really research things. They kept saying, oh, it could be this food that's triggering your rheumatism attacks. It could be this, this, and this. And so every other book would say something different. Like, it could be dairy, it could be potatoes, it could be bread. It could be... So I just ended up cutting everything.
Eliminate everything.
Yeah, and I only ate like grapes and salmon. And then I ended up losing weight. I was like, oh, this is really nice. And so it triggered like an eating disorder, basically. And much like you describe, everyone liked me more. And I hate this system. I hate how the world is. Now, the thing is, though, I probably am similarly conditioned. So I try to watch that in myself. I have to explain something. I watched, which was astounding to me, okay? I watched a... what is it called? Plastic surgery video of a before and after. And I never thought that I had a response to older people or younger people, like sort of like consciously. I didn't have a conscious knowledge that I would go, oh, that person that I had made assumptions about because someone's older or younger. So I saw this person and she was older. And I was like, okay, a person, right? Not consciously going, ugh, or anything. No reaction like an old person, but like, oh, an older person, oh, okay. And then she had her plastic surgery done, and the younger person, I was like, I have a different reaction to this younger person. More like, I realized that I went, oh, that person is probably more outgoing and more bubbly and more lively. And I was sitting there going, hold the phone.
Yeah.
What is going on? This is the exact same human being, but because I saw her younger, that's the only point where I realized I made assumptions about this person. And I was like horrified because I thought, oh, fuck. If I am with you, everyone does it. And it's not a conscious, you don't really because I saw the same person having these different faces, I thought it was a totally different person. And that made me think maybe I'll need to do plastic surgery in the future because everyone else is going to treat me like this as well. And then I was kind about that, not judging myself. I just thought, because I don't want people to do that to me. If I'm older and people go, oh, that's a frumpy old whatever old person, doesn't matter. It's about mattering this. This is about mattering to me, being worthy and respected and mattering, being a relevant human being. I thought, I'm not going to go through that. I'm not going to let people, and I could be like the pioneer on, this is obviously body positivity and whatnot. But I'm not going to change the world's deeply archaic conditioning by myself. So I'm not advocating for plastic surgery, by the way, but I just found it such a shocking thing that my own reaction to that younger person was different than to the older person. I was like, what the heck? And
we're part of it. I mean, that's the deep shadow stuff, is to realize I've judged people for their bodies and for their changes.
Exactly. Hello, here is Editing Tam. Just wanted to add a little bit more information about this experience that I had when I watched some TikTok video that had this plastic surgeon. There was a plastic surgeon TikTok video where you saw the before and the after. And I was just really struck by, it wasn't judgment as such. It's not sort of a judgment like that person is terrible and better and that person is worse. It was very much for me, and I'd love to know if you can, how it is for you. Because I even asked my friends, I said, I want you to watch this video and tell me if you make different assumptions about these two people. Obviously, it's the one person, but them looking different made me not, like I said, judge them differently, but made me assume things about them differently. So the younger person, it's not the younger person, the person who looked younger, because obviously that person was the same age. When I saw this person looking younger, I made assumptions about this person that I've thought that she would probably be very lively and outgoing. And the assumption I made about the older person, that they're probably at home, maybe, a bit more reserved, those kinds of assumptions that I made. And it just blew my mind that this was the same person. And that's what I'm kind of trying to say. And I was sort of really shocked by the fact that I hadn't really been aware of these assumptions that I made about, particularly when it comes to aging, about people, because I do a lot of self-examining and self-checking. Well, what sort of biases do I have about people? And with age, it was never really that obvious to me until I watched this plastic surgery video. And I recommend you try it and see how you react. Like, just examine your responses. And I was just really shocked. And I thought, if this is just something that happens for me, and I haven't really noticed it and nor worked on it, then the whole world won't have noticed it and worked on it, very likely. I mean, obviously there will be some people who are like, no, I've worked on all this. But I then thought, oh no, I will age and then people will do the same. They'll make assumptions about me and then based on those assumptions, make decisions about me maybe, and will or won't invite me to dinner or whatever the process is of when you make assumptions. Okay, sorry, I did sneeze. So, in fact, it made me so concerned for a while that I thought I might need to have plastic surgery once the time comes, because I find that really hard. I find it really hard when you hit, so I'm now 49, as I mentioned in another video, and I find it really painful and difficult to notice how I am less noticeable. And I don't mean in a sort of, I'm pretty, not in that way, but I mean it in it seems like because society is such that people over the age of 40, women in particular, because it doesn't affect men that much, but women over the age of 40 or maybe even 35, I don't know when it starts, but become just less interesting or worthy or valuable, possibly because of romantic and sexual value, I don't know. But I find it heartbreaking and really difficult and painful to deal with. So it's something I've been struggling with recently. And then on top of it, when I found this this plastic surgeon video before and after, and then realized how I made assumptions about the older person versus the younger person, was really, really shocking. And I thought, I haven't escaped this conditioning. And I bet you most people haven't. So most people will be treating people that are over a certain age as less important, less visible. And yeah, so I've been struggling with that and really kind of facing that. And my solution was, I just need to have plastic surgery too. Which is obviously, probably not the right, the best decision for that. But that's why I really sat there and went, I don't judge anyone who has plastic surgery, based on how I responded to these two versions of the same person. It's the same person. Isn't it crazy? Anyway, I shall stop talking about it. But I wanted to, add to this. So it's quite a big thing for me to realize this. Anyway, if any one of you have had a similar experience where you have looked at it before and an after, I'd love to know your reactions, because I know there are also people that go, oh no, I prefer. Then you talk about preferences. So they would have said, I've preferred the person naturally. But I'm not talking about my preferences. So I'm not talking about, do I prefer the person older or younger? It's not been about my preferences. It's been about my, it's been about the assumptions I made about the person, that I thought, that person is clearly happier and more outgoing, and that person looks a bit sad and alone and old at home. Those kinds of assumptions. So less so about if I preferred that face over that face. But I have also heard people say that they haven't had the reaction that I have. But most people that I showed these videos to realized that they had made similar assumptions. Anyway, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. Thank you. Back to the video. Yeah,
and I need to own, that's part of my old hag that I'm about to make here. But you know what I've noticed? The younger generation, like my daughter's generation, she's 21.
Yeah.
She does not allow me to make a statement that is body negativity without saying something. Like her generation, they are not into it. They do not want to talk
How old is
negatively.
she? How old is she?
21.
Is that millennial or is that
Gen
Z?
Z? Yeah. Gen
Okay,
Z.
because it's funny that you say that because I have a lot of younger people in my life who I notice are also still very strongly influenced by social media, what you must look like, the filters and stuff. So I don't know if your daughter is unusual or if the people I speak with are unusual, but
I don't know. I just notice her and her friends are quite committed to not going down that
that's
road.
really good. That's excellent. I mean, but there's
me.
it's I have I say a friend who's 25, so more millennial-ish, or maybe just about Gen Z, and she's obsessed with the physical stuff. And I said, I'm so surprised because my generation, you're sort of also, you're probably Gen X-ish. A lot of this, my people, my group, really were like fighting against, because so many eating disorders and all this sort of stuff, they're kind of really fighting against the body image message. And I had hoped and thought that that had trickled through into this next two generations. But when I was speaking to her, she was telling me about how it seems almost worse, but she was really attributing it to social media, like how people filter on their faces, and I put filters on my faces as well, people know this. I do say that to people when they, not strong ones, but I like to, even now there's a little bit, I mean, this is, I'm sitting in front of lights.
Myself on Zoom when I have the touch up to max.
Yeah, because it's just smooth your skin a little bit. But it's also, that's the other thing. For me, it's often about myself. So I don't care that, I do care about what people think of me because I want to matter. But when it comes to how I look out and about, I don't sort of walk around going, oh, okay, what did they think of me? I think that's actually really your problem.
Right. Totally.
I do care about how I look to myself. So because we're just discussing, we are our worst inner critics. So what I think is horrific, you might think, oh, you look great today, Tam, or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, but have you seen that? Or whatever, you know what I mean? So there's a sort of a thing about, it's interesting how I think your own perception of yourself is often the worst one.
Totally. And that's what I'm going to do. Can I show my material?
We have to say, hey everyone, Jen has got a new setup, which is so cool. Check it out.
I'm so happy. Let's see.
We can see your desk now.
Show you. I had signed up to do this course, which I'm still going to do, but it was making a doll, and I never did do it. But I had all the stuff ready to go, so I haven't opened this for a while.
You just want to make a doll, yes, you did.
But I want to make some kind of doll.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. I got that, and I like to save my jewelry for art projects. So this is all my old jewelry, like, when I lose an earring or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have a glue gun behind me, and I have a set of old flags I made years ago that are really tattered now. And I thought I might reuse these. So I have no plan except that's what I'm going to do. And then I have a piece of paper, kind of tissue-y paper.
How are you going to make your doll? So explain, out of just fabric, and you going to put plushy stuff in, or
What I was thinking is, let me switch back here. What I was thinking was that I would put down all the messages of this wounded part of me, and some like maybe all the dark stuff on the inside of the doll, and stuff the doll with it. And then on the outside, I want to put some of the care that I want to give that part of me, that old hag.
That's beautiful.
Some of the love and care, and like adorn her. So I think I'm going to do that really basic thing, where you stuff the head and tie it, and then the rest of the fabric is like a dress. I'm just going to make it really simple.
No, I don't have really, the only dolls I've made are out of clay. So I've never really made proper fabric ones. This is one I made.
Oh, lovely.
It's out of clay. This is called a self-care doll. So it's out of paper clay. You put, this has got silver. It's nice. Very
beautiful. Well, I am going to yet again let go of product and focus on process. So how it looks, I don't know. But it's an old hag doll, so it is completely fitting that it would not look great in the end. But it was full of meaning.
I love the idea, definitely.
What about you?
Well, I wanted to do like what I said. So I tend to make empathy monsters for this sort of work. So I just paint little cute, super cute little monsters. Now, normally I would do process work before it, but that's a bit time consuming. So the process work would usually be like you identify your shadow, a shadow.
Well, I think we did that together.
But it could be that, or it could be anything for other people if they're doing it as well. So it could be jealousy or envy or bitterness or resentment. All of those are sort of what is shadow elements. And then you find what is underneath it. So like I said right now, for me, it's about mattering. So if it's about body stuff and you have a self-critic, you can be self-critical of your body, but also you could be self-critical of the critic. And so, right, which is what you're just describing. And for both of those, you try to find what is underneath that pain. Why are you judging? And in a compassionate way. So you don't tend to try not to judge the judger.
Yeah, and try not to argue with it.
Yeah,
and
just find what is underneath. What is the tender part on it? So in MVC they call that needs, and in my case, it's I want to matter, and that's why I have these judgments. And I want to.
You know what I think I'll start with, and for people at home, they can maybe start this way: is just writing some of that, and I'm going to use the writing in making it, but maybe you take a minute to
smallish monster, otherwise it's too.
I'm feeling drawn to write a letter to that part of me. I'm going to write a letter to that part of me, and then I'm going to write a letter back to me from that part.
Okay.
Let's take a minute and do that. How about, if you want?
I'm going to be starting, because there's not a lot of time, I'm going to draw a little creature while you do that.
Okay.
And I tend to, because I feel like I've worked through, well, I've done this work a little bit, so I know what I usually deal with.
Maybe I'll switch my view and people can see that what I'm writing.
Okay, yeah, do that.
I like the feeling of writing on tissue. It's nice.
But for me, it's about finding the need, what is there, and then empathizing and compassionately hearing yourself and understanding yourself about what's going on for you there, so that you end up with almost a release of some sorts or an understanding around it. Because that's the healing, right? That's how you do that healing. So I need to probably stop talking if you're writing.
That's okay. And I'm trying to give myself permission, because I think this is a step that a lot of people try to skip or jump over, or I'm going to fully embrace what that part says to me, because I think if we don't really face it, like you said, we don't get the same release. So I'm going for it here.
You're going in.
Let me keep it short, and then I will even read it to you.
Oh, okay. That's very, very, very brave and super healing. I've been doing cute creatures lately. I like doing cute creatures to help me with.
Some of yours online, and I love them.
Did you see the pig? Oh no, you didn't. What? Sorry. What did you just say?
I saw that one. I saw one yesterday online.
Yeah, the pig. Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah. I mean, they help me when I feel really sad or something. It just helps me to paint creatures that are almost like your little, Phil Pullman. The books by Phil Pullman. Do you know those?
No.
They have little creatures on their shoulder, or not on their. They're actually soul creatures. They call them demons. I don't know why you ever call them demons. It's a really strange word for it, but they are meant to be like parts of your soul. And each person in this story has a different shape. Like an animal. And they are there to help you and to be with you, like little soulmates, I suppose. Little
soulmates. I love that.
I love it. Yeah, and they just help you get through stuff. Did you ever watch the film Monsters Inc.?
Yes.
Yeah, so I like little baby Sully's, the blue creature. I like him.
Yeah.
Such a good film, that one.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Oh, you don't have to read it out, I'm
going to. Why not? Because I feel like
how are you putting your face?
I know I am not going to be alone in some of this.
Oh, for sure. I know you're definitely not going to be alone.
This is what I wrote.
Okay.
From the old hag, dear Jennifer, you are fat and your clothes aren't fitting, and you are way bigger than you think. and you're losing time. And by the way, you can't even walk without pain in your hips anymore, so it's hopeless for you.
Okay.
Getting over a cold.
Yeah.
Dear hag, what happened to you? You are so afraid. I am okay. I love my life. I love how I've healed. I love how I've been parenting lately. I love how I've grown. It's time for me to be soft. And I can be soft to you too if you'd let me.
Oh, and what does the hag reply to that? Have you written any reply?
No, good idea. I'm going to do that.
What does the hag want to say more? Like, does she want your softness?
It's funny how it just comes out.
Yes.
And it's short and simple. Okay, I wrote back and said, Jenny, please, I'm tired of being mean.
Oh,
Oh,
nice one.
okay, I'm going to use this.
So when it comes to let's say what's underneath it for you.
You know what came to me when I was listening to you was I feel like it's loss, grief. Like here I am. I feel like I'm grieving a time that I know has gone by. Like yeah.
Okay.
And part of the accepting is accepting that I'm getting older and that
and impermanence and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And things are changing and it's okay. I will put my see what I got in here. I can't. Oh my goodness, I do have. Look, I've got faces, doll faces.
Oh, cool. Are they made of clay? Are they plastic?
No, they're plastic. I've got some just white material and it's blue canvasy stuff there. Don't know about that. String. I think I'll go with white. I like the white. I have no idea. I've never actually. I have made dolls before in an art group, but I think we made them from clay too. So this is gonna be different. It's gonna be new. Tell me if you want to share what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Are you going to sew as well? Sorry, I was.
No, I'm not. You could. You want to.
No, I just wondered because you've got such a large amount of fabric there.
I really do. I think I'm going to use some of it to do some stuffing.
All right, so yeah, I'll share in a sec. I've just drawn a cute little monster.
I want to make this smaller so I can take it. I'm actually going to an ashram today for a week.
You said that before. Oh, is that today?
Yeah, I'm leaving after this. And I thought it'd be so lovely to take this little thing along with me.
The egg. You're going to tell people. Yeah.
The egg, so I can love her a little.
Yeah. They'll be like really up for that and interested in to hear about this.
If I even showed them, I don't know if I would.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is it a silent ashram thing? Or?
Parts of it are silent. The meals are all silent. I think when you're moving about the place, it's silent. But I am doing a retreat. So I think it's not entirely silent. Like there's some you go to that it's silent and you don't journal or read or do anything but meditate. It's not like that. So
I find silent retreats very, very difficult.
Me too. I like a bit of silence because then I get into myself. But
I went on a Byron Katie retreat once. Do you know Byron Katie?
No.
Okay. She's like a big spiritual guru type person. And not everything was silent. It's called the 9 days of the work. And you had to be silent for all the meals, and you did a
Mhm.
silent meditation every day, and then you went to the teachings, if you will. But that was the only time you spoke with people, and then you also weren't allowed to have all of your comfort stuff. So you didn't have your phone, you couldn't have a book,
Right.
you shouldn't have makeup even.
I'm not taking any makeup or jewelry.
Yeah, and it was
That's a challenge.
it's a challenge, but also I eventually wasn't really gelling with what was going on and with the teachings. And
I love that you say that because it's like you're your own person. Because you know how you get in those environments and you feel like you should kind of be rah-rah about it? But what if you're not?
well, it was, yeah, I mean, it was very hard for me because I still am a very big fan of the work. That's what they call it. The work is her process of helping people, let's say.
Yeah.
But how they ran that retreat was, from a therapeutic perspective, I think not healthy. And
What did
it
you
was
do?
hard. It was hard to be there, and because there was 400 people there, so you get that sort of trance-like state where you're with, if you're with a lot of people that all believe the same thing, it's very hard not to feel the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm impressed by your ability to hold on to yourself.
Thank you. Well, it wasn't easy. It was definitely not easy, but I think, I don't know what they call this, but also because I've had so much trouble as a kid where I wasn't included, or I was bullied a lot as a kid. And so I became the kind of person that was like, oh, you don't want me? Well, I don't want you. So it turned into that. And so I became quite an very independent person, an independent thinker, and wouldn't really conform just to belong, because that became something that I found very irritating about other people, that I would see how they would function. I'd be like, well, but you're treating me like shit, but you're all like, oh, I'll do what I have to do so I belong. And I became quite frustrated with that behavior in people. That said, like I said, it still wasn't easy to go, I'm not sure about this. And you're right, everyone was just conforming and doing what they were meant to do. And I started rebelling, and that wasn't really welcome either. Not rebelling in a sort of, oh, I'm starting a revolution. But anyway, yeah, it was all sorts of things where basically what they would do is they would one day, they really tried to, there's apparently a method that they employed in the 70s. It was a style of retreating, which was really sort of to shock people into awakening, if you will.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done weekends like that.
Yeah. So here they would on day 4 or something, they would just not feed anyone. So there wouldn't be any food. Now, yeah. So, and then you'd be like, excuse me? And they'd be like, well, because this is all about your thinking. So it's how you think about situations that causes the suffering. And I agree up until a certain point. So they really were just trying to give you material to work with, I suppose. But I just thought it was irresponsible. A lot of it was very irresponsibly done. I mean, they would
not safe. Like, didn't feel safe.
No. And I mean, they did say like, oh, if you're diabetic or if you're pregnant, don't do this. But I still felt like you could be triggered. What about people who used to have eating disorders? You might trigger something. You know what I mean? It's just so many things that you should, that I thought this is not very responsible. And it was hard to, there's so many things, like the work that she does, it relies on questions that you ask yourself, and you were just sort of put together to practice with people who were also students, but they didn't really explain clearly the scientific logic behind it. And so what could happen is that you could end up phrasing your questions oddly, and then the work just wouldn't work. But because there were 400 people, there were some support guys as well, you have to say that. But anyway, the whole thing just didn't feel like anything. I was a massive fan. I even interviewed Byron for my YouTube channel. So it was really hard for me also to kind of face my own disappointment with it. I was like, shit.
Wow. I'm even more impressed now. I mean, that is brave to hold on to yourself in the face of 400 people all doing the same thing.
Well, and with a very charismatic kind of guru. Yeah.
Yes.
It was hard.
You're going to be useless material for a cult.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Do not approach this woman if you're trying to run a cult. She's not going to follow.
Andy always tells me, "No, I need you to come to this appointment because you'll have 100 questions and I won't know." You know what I mean? Like, because I go, "Yeah, but how about this? I don't understand what that means. What about that though?" And I don't mean, that's the other thing. I don't mean to be deliberately contrary or irritating. Like, even GPs find me annoying. I go, "But I read this. Why does it?" The people find. And then I don't take people face value necessarily or believe them or whatever. It's not to be difficult. It's just how my brain functions as well.
Yeah,
and it's probably my history and whatnot.
Well, I can say that I went to this women's weekend.
It was totally immersed.
Yeah, it was.
I became part of the cult.
Yeah, exactly. I still am. I'm just trying to recruit you now. I went to this women's weekend in Maryland in the States in 2009. And it was life-changing. And it was very deep emotional work, like, bat swinging, emoting, all of that.
Yeah.
But there were 30 women and there were 30 staff.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was very safe emotionally. We had beautiful food. We had lots of rest. It was so well done. It was a shadow weekend. But it was safe. And the one thing they did, like you talk about the breakdown, they did do that. Like they called it the descent into your despair. But they spent so much time with each individual woman. We were broken into groups of about 10. They spent so much time with each woman determining what the issue was she wanted to heal and getting it exactly right. And then the next day we did the work on that issue. So it was quite
different setup. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Very, like, a lot of attention paid to safety, which I really is so important when you're working with people's vulnerability. Like, there has to be a level of safety, and I get the deprivation in a way, but I don't think it's necessary.
No.
It's not necessary. We were fed beautiful food and it was lovely.
Yeah. No, I've been on other retreats that have been amazing, but they've all been MVC people. So I've been on someone, I love Sarah Peyton that I mentioned before. She does family constellations and trauma work and brain. She does it all with empathy and resonance. So whenever people use the term empathy and resonance, I'm there. That's the other thing about Byron Katie. This is all about examining and deconstructing your thoughts and seeing what causes suffering. And once again, I want to say, I do believe, and I feel that I resonate with some of that. Like, if you ask me if I'm in a really gnarly situation and you say to me, who would you be without that story? It does wake me up into, oh yeah, if I didn't think this way, I wouldn't feel this way.
Right.
But she doesn't have a lot of empathy, or she doesn't show a lot of empathy for people who are going through harrowing stuff. They'll be like, my sister, this is blah, 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 alcoholic. And she's like, yeah, and what are you thinking about it? She doesn't sort of give much space to empathy. Well, I respond very well to softness, kindness, compassion, and just that's
imagine how bizarre.
Well, it's just a spiritual. I mean, maybe people that are watching this be like, yeah, no, you're not conveying Byron Katie's work well enough, and that might be true, but it's a spiritual framework that helps.
I mean, if she means it, which I'm sure she does, and I'm sure she's right for a lot of people, she would want you to have your own opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, well, again, I don't think I was the most loved person in the group there, but
brave woman.
Yeah,
I'm trying to glue on some jewelry onto my hag, and it's very hard. I've got the hot glue going though.
Doing it like that. Oh, I see. Oh, I know what you mean now. Like you're taking a piece of fabric and then let it hang. Oh, nice one.
And I stuffed the head with all those messages. I stuffed the head.
Do you want to have a look at my little monster? Or do you want to keep... Should we do that?
Yeah. Okay, what do I need to do?
Oh, no, let me see if I can share now. Like, just see what happens.
Okay.
It just worked. Do you see my stuff now?
I do.
I just need to change it around and then it'll...
Aw, did you just draw that right now?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's only a tiny little cutie.
Aw. So harmless looking.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what I always think is under it. Eventually, when you've
Right.
you've really worked through it. If you've worked through it, you're left with a little piece of cute. I was sad now, and I'm a little tantrumy monster. But if you love me and you're kind to me and you help me, I look like that.
I love that you call it a little tantrumy monster, because that's what it's. Really yesterday, that's what I felt happened in me. This tantrumy part of me that just would not shut up.
Yeah. And it's coming, I think, from unmet needs, just a need. Like in your case, I found it interesting when you said it's about mourning and letting go of the past and how it used to be. So having a kind of pain around change, not liking change, which I also think is superhuman, it's hard to accept things changing. Like I have that, we talked in another session about children and teenagers. I'm having a hard time with thinking my children will grow up and they'll leave. I'm like, what do you mean you'll leave? Oh shit, that's going to happen, isn't it? Oh yeah. Okay. That type of change I find really hard.
Yeah. And I don't know if I shared last time that my son had been really struggling, and I was struggling with how he was struggling, although he told me he wasn't struggling, but I was, I was afraid and thought things were hard for him, and I don't know. Anyway, suddenly he got a girlfriend and everything is different.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. And I completely did not expect. So I just feel like I have to remember how fast things can be different, how fast they change, and how wonderful that is.
Yes.
Spend so much time being afraid of change.
Well, that's also interesting that you have an unexpected positive something in the change. Yes. Yeah. And then it's back to see, that's why the spiritual stuff, such as Byron Katie, the letting go and surrendering to what is for me very much part of the spiritual stuff. Like, being trying to allow the change, allow things to be as they are. If you can do that, you don't tend to suffer much, but it's very hard.
Oh yeah. And I think we are designed to, sorry for the noise, I'm trying to open it. Here's the other thing. Have you met people that have never suffered? No. I don't want to hang out with them.
Yeah, no. And I think it's more of a later on in your life thing where people so you suffer, you learn, you do life, and then you are so sick of the suffering, and then somehow find people, processes, methods to lessen it. Do you know Eckhart Tolle?
Yes.
So his story, similar, where he was so depressed. Now, I still don't know if he genuinely had some sort of enlightened experience where he fell down and he lived on a bench for 3 years. Do you know this story of his?
Yeah. And I don't know his story, no.
Oh, you don't? So the story is that he was a highly intelligent guy.
Yes, knew that part.
Struggled a lot with depression. He was so sick of his depression. One night he was lying in bed and he said, I can't live with myself anymore. And then because he said, I can't live with myself, he then went, if there's an I in myself, who is the myself or who is the I? And that question broke open his soul or something, and he fell down, he passed out. And when he woke up, it's like, I always think of it as like in the Matrix when Neo sees the numbers. Yeah, the numbers on he sees the actual Matrix.
I am sorry to say I've never watched the Matrix.
Oh, okay. No, okay. By the way, he then saw life for what it genuinely is, and then of course he just uses his language to explain it, but he could only experience. And since he's experienced that, he wrote The Power of Now, and he wrote A New Earth, and he wrote all sorts of books, and he wrote but I find him incredibly soothing to listen to, because he talks about just watch your behavior, watch your thoughts, so there is something for me about getting attached to the story of who you are, getting attached to the thoughts, and and detaching from that, not in a dissociative way, but sort of watching yourself, mindfulness, watching the thoughts go by, watching you set yourself operate, sort of like the external witness. I
Yeah.
find that a very helpful way sometimes if I get way too attached to a story I'm telling myself, such as, okay, I don't know, I hate my body, or I don't know, or I'm such a terrible person, or I'm not very good at this, or whatever you tell yourself. And you can get really muddled up in those thoughts, right? And thoughts are just thoughts and they're not necessarily true.
Very true.
Yeah. So anyway, so I've done in all of my work, there's been a lot of sort of therapeutic work, but also a lot of spiritual stuff. I've been trying to incorporate those kinds of teachings, but they're sometimes at odds, I find, with therapeutic methods, because therapy is very much like move towards your horrible thought, while spiritual practices often say, no, watch your horrible thought, not to move towards it, don't identify with it. They try to teach disidentification, and I think that's sometimes really helpful, but at other times it isn't. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, because from a therapy perspective, from a therapist perspective, it's actually really helpful to not identify necessarily with the thought, but examine it, see where it comes from, and then heal something. Like healing is often done by examining things closer on.
Yes. And I agree. We get sometimes in therapy can get too bogged down in the problem, but hopefully if you're with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and they can guide you, because you can dwell.
You aren't gonna stay there. I mean, that's the point, is to acknowledge it like we did today,
Yes.
acknowledge it enough that you aren't in denial so you can come out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to put color on this face because it's plastic.
You want to share your screen again? Oh, you are streaming your screen. So my screen is now the biggest on my screen. Let me see if I can make you. How do I make you bigger?
I'm not sure.
So it'd be nice to see. What if we do side by side? Oh no, now we just see. Well, I just stopped. I know. I'll stop. Oh, hold on. I've got you back. So I've stopped sharing my screen. Now we can see what you're doing a little bit. So you put the face, which is that plastic or clay?
It's plastic.
Oh, cool. So
and this is supposed to be loathsome, and it is starting to creep me out. So I think it's working.
I think it's nice. I don't think it's loathsome. Do you mean the clothing? What do you mean?
I don't know. The whole thing. The face in particular is kind of creeping me out.
Oh, are you going to draw or on it? I think it's like.
I was going to, but I can't use markers. Oh, here I can use pen.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Show us the.
How do you do eyebrows that look sad?
Oh, so you do them by drawing. Shall I show you?
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so fun. I get to ask an actual person who knows how to do things.
So sad eyes are a super easy trick, actually. So if you've got eyes.
Yeah.
If you want angry, you just do this.
Right.
See how that becomes angry?
Yeah. Ooh.
And sad. So now, of course, I'm doing super sad. Is more this way. So, and all of the lines, if you make this line also like that.
Okay.
See how it becomes more sad?
Yes.
Easy peasy. So it's the lines, both the eyebrows, but also the eyes themselves. If you move the lines of the eye, it's themselves that way, it becomes more angry. And the same here. If you draw this on the sides a little bit more curved down, and the same with the eyebrows, it looks sad.
Okay, got it. Excellent.
That's a very simplistic way of doing it, but you can be a bit more details or subtler, like you can do it subtly. This guy. Sorry, the little monster's making me laugh. Do we go back to the doll? Let's look at the doll. Here we go. Once you're done it, show it close up if you can. Yeah, nice. Yeah, you see, she's sad. I love it.
So sad.
It worked.
She's much less terrifying as a sad.
Yes. Yes,
She's
you
got
said
nice
I
jewelry on. I have got these, I can't actually hear the noise at all. I have this sheet of stickers that I'm just choosing from something. What's it going to be? I like this word gently. I'm just cut it out. Use the word. Put it right on her face. Hmm.
think it's very cool what you're doing.
Yeah, look, I put this word here.
Oh, gently. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, so now doing to me, that's the bit, like the healing part sort of thing, or where you're giving yourself,
yes.
like I often include positive, not positive affirmation necessarily, or maybe, so if I'm struggling with feeling like I matter and I've worked on that, that's the shadow, then I might let the little monster eventually say, have it on his tummy saying, you matter, or you belong, or whatever you are struggling with can be like a message from the monster. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he,
Yes.
and not as a placating thing, but after you've worked on it,
Yes.
so he then
Okay,
comes with
these are the other messages I have.
what are they on the messages?
Hello,
Just
my
breathe. Hello,
darling.
my darling. I love it.
I love it too. Aw, this, I feel the shift in me.
Nice. That's
You
so
know, when you sense it, do you get that when you make art? Like there's a point in the art where I feel it actually inhabit me in a different way?
totally, of course, yes. That's the whole.
That
That's the whole point.
is the whole point. And she's crooked and her jewelry's crooked and whatever. Look at her. She's not loathsome anymore. She's a very sad part of me.
Yeah, that's it.
Which
And that's the
means,
thing, is right. Very often you're just. How do I get my face back? Am I still sharing?
we're doing better this time than we did last time.
Definitely. Oh, it's,
Oh, that's okay. You just have to turn your video back on, I think.
there, but
There.
you don't see us side by side for some reason. Oh, there we are. Back, yeah. So, oh, what were you just saying? Oh, yeah. So for me, that's the whole point of like, when you do the art therapy stuff, or art processing with art, which I did for years on Lifebook, is that you can genuinely transformed through it if you really do the process, sit
Yeah.
with the empathy and the resonance. So Sarah Peyton would call it resonance, where you really acknowledge. It's like an internal parent that acknowledging whatever or
Yeah.
adult that's acknowledging the pain. It can then, and then you put it onto paper or into a creative project. It's deeply meaningful and really feel the shift.
Oh, totally. And I feel like the art itself carries it in a whole new way that is on the unconscious speaking. Like
Yeah.
there are things that happened with this doll that spoke to me, like that I couldn't get it quite straight and I couldn't get it quite looking right. That is the whole point of what I'm struggling with. It's
Yeah.
not yet, and yet she's sad and she's beautiful and she needs to just breathe. Do you know that song, Keep Breathing?
Do you mean 2 a.m. and she calls me? That one?
I love
Oh,
that.
okay. That's also those.
The one is, I cannot sing, but I'll try.
Oh.
All I can do is keep breathing.
Breathing. No, I do know that one. Yeah. That's
Oh, you're a
beautiful.
beautiful singer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this has been lovely. Do you want to show us where you got to on
Yeah,
yours?
I'm not very far because it takes longer, but I will continue painting this.
Yes.
I'm just at the point where I've just done the first layer of a wash. Where is it? Oh, even in being upside down, I think it's funny.
It is, actually. It's perfect upside down. I love the color.
Oh, but yeah, and this is just early stages. So early
Mm.
stage. There we go. So here he is. He's a little guy. He's a little guy that says, "Look, it's okay. It's okay. You're good." You know, like that. That's what I always need from my art creations, where they're just there to encourage you to feel the pain, but you're there. There's someone there with you. Does that make sense? Like there's
Yes,
accompaniment creatures that are innocently just supporting you, knowing you're going through hard stuff, but they're there to help you. Like I feel like less alone and stuff like that.
I love it.
Yeah. So
Love when you put the voiceover there. It's okay.
yeah, it's fine. You'll be fine. And by the way, this one could be, it could represent the actual monster that was the problem, but now he's okay. That's also, I mean, however way, right? However way it works for you is what works for you. That's what I always try to say to people. If you want to paint your pain by putting lots of red blood or whatever works for you is what works for you. So the monster can represent anything, and if you don't like cute creatures, you can do something else. You can do different stuff. You can paint dark stuff, anything. There's no do what
You can just use color even.
Exactly, or the collage that we've done before.
Yeah, love it.
Anyhow, stop that. And it was really, really nice. Yeah, I think this was okay. And it tells it again. So
I wanted to put a shout out to doing an online course this summer, starting June 21st.
You're not going to do it.
I'm doing it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, like I'm putting it on. Yeah. It's called Summer of Self-Care.
Nice.
For anyone who identifies as a caregiver in your profession, so therapists, teachers, doctors, nurses, care aides, mothers. Yeah. And it's a lot of rituals and a lot of art and a lot of healing just to kind of get us through the summer on a so it's going to be on my website soon, Holistic Healing Counseling.
Cool. Well, and people can find the link to your website and your YouTube below in the links, in the description. So they can check that out.
What about you? What are you working on? Anything? You've had your big mixed media. Fabulous. I did purchase it because I could not live without it.
Thank you. Actually, I am working on something. I'm working on two things. One is a course on creating cute creatures, funnily enough. So like the pig. I'll show you
nice.
This. I want to do a course on creating cute creatures.
Oh, and so adorable.
We're going to do a dog with a butterfly on his nose, a tiny baby octopus on the deep sea, and I want to include this pig. And I also want to do a Highland cow. I love Highland cows. You know the brown
Highland too,
with the brown hair, and they can't see anything that make me laugh. So any creatures that make me laugh. So I'm going to probably do that in the summer, and then
lovely.
For next year, the year-long course is going to be. I don't know if I can say yet, really. But we have the theme. We have decided on the theme.
Good. Exciting. This past one was a year of light.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one, I'm gonna say it and see if people, like, depending on how many people watch it until watch it all the way through and actually listen.
Okay.
So it's going to be a year of magic and fairy tales. And it'll be based on sort of stories, but also myths and legends and magic. So it can be both more broadly interpreting magic. So the magic in the dewdrop, or the magic of the art supplies, or the magic of love. Yeah. But also looking at fairy tales, archetypes, story scenes that are meaningful, or forgotten heroines, those sorts of things. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you. Yeah. So
magic. Can I tell you a little story? Quick story. So you know how I said my son was struggling, and then suddenly, well, in the middle of that, I had done this little witchy process, and it's in the summer rituals in the course. I had done a little ceremony on cutting the cord. So I had a candle for him and a candle for what I felt he was going towards that wasn't healthy. And I tied a cord around them. And then going in the other direction, I put a little miniature bridge that I have, like a doll bridge, and the word free. And then I cut the string. And literally 4 days later, he's like, I have a girlfriend.
No way. I'm like getting goosebumps, genuinely goosebumps. What? How old is he?
18. He was getting ready to go live in his car and like live free off the land. I'm like, oh my God. And I didn't want to like shut his dream down, but I was terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm all about the magic and the ritual. Yes. Well, shall we wrap it up?
Yes, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for watching so far, because on mine you'll get a bit more. I don't know if you probably don't put more on. And it was really fun. And if you have any questions or ideas or thoughts on what you heard us discuss today, please leave a comment below. And also, I also want to actually say, always do a little, maybe we should have done that at the beginning, but take care of if you take part in this, because some of it can be a bit triggering, so make sure that if you do take part in this sort of stuff, that you're careful with the emotional charge of the issue you might work with. It's always important to be careful with that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And trust what comes up.
Yeah.
Trust healing. Yeah. Well, till next time, Tam.
Till next time, Jen and Tam's Creative Sanctuary will be back in about a month.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye.